to kind of jump off on just how does this team get better from here.
Yep.
I think it starts up front, frankly, and at this point you can say Zach Calzada, and I believe me, I think there's certain things from this game that make you concerned when it comes to Zach Calzada, but up front, they were just under pressure all day, and it was a lot of the veteran guys. On that last sack, Kenyon Green got beat out at tackle. They lost Jameer Johnson early in the game. Had Blake Traynor in there for one series at left tackle, and that was not going to work. So they moved him to right guard and tried putting Kenyon Green out at left tackle, and they haven't been able to find consistent play up front. And, they had to replace a lot of guys coming into the year, and they haven't been good up front. They're not getting a push with the running game, and that's been a big problem through 4 games. And we kind of said coming into the year, what's going to happen when conference play comes around, and we'll get a better idea of this team. And I think the offensive line's a big concern going forward. And I think the problem they have, obviously there's receivers that need to help Zach Calzada more, but he's just struggling to read the game. There were open receivers today that he just wasn't able to hit, and I think with time he'll become more poised. But too often it felt like he was just trying to get out of the pocket and kind of panicking a little bit, and just didn't play with poise, and that kind of forces your offensive scramble as well. But you got to play with poise, and it starts at the quarterback position. And I didn't think he was very poised in the first half.
Yeah. What you just said right there at the end about the first half, I think he played much better. He started making some really nice throws in the second half, but it obviously wasn't enough at that point. Not that they were hopelessly behind by any stretch, but it really took him a long time to get into the flow of the game and start to make some throws that he's capable of making.
Yeah, the weird thing to me about this game too is, so you had late in the third or early in the fourth quarter, A&M's defense was really rolling. It felt like a little bit of the Colorado game in a certain way of just how the defense continued to make stops and all that. And then there's that 21-yard pass to Anais Smith down the left sideline, and then the pick one play later. And you kept saying if it doesn't turn the ball over, they'll have a chance at the end. And that pick just kind of felt like the moment that all winds were taken out of the sails, because you were just coming off the big run by Isaiah Spiller, and to throw it off your center's helmet and have it bounce up in the air. I mean, that was just a costly mistake that you can't make.
Well, Andrew, I got to say, when Calzada made the throw before that you just mentioned, then made the pick, I was thinking of you, because I was thinking of many, many conversations that we had in leading into this season, and not having watched Calzada a lot myself, especially since he wasn't the starter this year, and just seeing him in the spring. Obviously, that doesn't count. And just seeing him a little bit once he came in against Colorado, I thought of our several conversations, because I thought I wasn't that impressed with him throughout much of this game. And then he made that throw to
Anais Smith, I think it was. Anais Smith. Yeah.
Anais Smith. And I thought that's a beautiful throw.
Yeah.
He hummed it, but he also had to take a little bit off to drop it over the linebacker. He placed it right in there.
Yeah.
And that was all the way to the sideline throw, and then shows his inconsistency in the very next play, doing what he did and making, to throw a ball off your offensive lineman's helmet. There you go.
It's just that game. It's just that play that ends up changing the game, and it put your defense in a bad spot on inside their own 50-yard line, and they only gave up a field goal. But at 2 scores, it just felt like insurmountable coming into the fourth quarter. But it's just that mistake you can't make in that situation. You've just got to be able to protect the ball, and that's one of the reasons they were able to stay in the game, because they hadn't turned the ball over to that point. But Jeff Tarp, who was sitting next to me, we both said, if A&M turns this over once, it's going to be probably over. And that was the play that, to me, kind of swung the game, because at that point A&M had some momentum. Their defense was playing well. They were coming off the big touchdown run to Isaiah Spiller, and that play just can't happen.
Yeah, and to your first point about what you witnessed and about what Jimbo said right out of the gate, it was just so obvious from the first play of the game that Arkansas was sharp and energetic and really
Mm-hmm.
took it to them, and that Texas A&M was kind of on its heels from the first play.
Yeah. Well, the first play you had the big run, I believe, with Traylon Smith right up the middle.
Yeah.
Then you had a big run, I believe, with KJ Jefferson. Before that, you even had another run that was called back for a holding.
Yep.
But still a you know, just a they were just gashing them right up the middle, and they had A&M on their heels. They had to settle for a field goal, and that felt like a big win for A&M. But they come right back with a touchdown down the right hand side, and it really they just took it to A&M, and you during the week, it's surprising that A&M wasn't ready to go because everybody could kind of sense that Arkansas was going to come ready for this game. Jimbo Fisher was asked, I believe, on one of the teleconference calls if you had to guard against his team being overconfident, and he said just turn on the film, and that's all you should need to know to not be overconfident. And thought it was a great point. And A&M, I don't think they were overconfident, but they just came out on their heels, and Arkansas took it to them, and credit to them, they did exactly what they've been doing all year, and again, they know who they are. They know who they are into Sam Pittman, and I that's a credit to just the job he's done already.